Hello, everyone. Good evening to all of you. So, whoever has joined, a very warm welcome to all of you. And a request from our side is if you can ask more of your friends and family to join this meeting, because today it's a very beautiful day. We are celebrating the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Romila, and I was a teacher, and I have been working in the development space for a long time. Currently, we are all, as a team, we are working for children. Hence, you are seeing the name Pillakosam. So, if I can say, I can call myself a citizen of the nation as well. That is one of the very key identity of which is very close to me and something that we are very closely working towards. So, warm welcome to all of you who are also the citizens of our nation. I'm using this word very often, right? Citizen. This word I'm using very often. I hope that is okay with all of you because in the current context, the word is used in many different ways, in many different contexts, without actually understanding it in the context that we are living in. So, there are many definitions of the word, right? Citizen. Citizen is something, someone who is born in the nation, who's grown up in the nation, who has generations of people living in the nation. But that is just a definition on paper and in law. As a feeling, what does that word mean to each of us? That is one question we need to think about. And the meaning of this word is also changing in different contexts with the evolving political, social, economic situation in the country. It is also evolving because of the changing consciousness of the people. Why am I talking about citizen or citizenship for such a long time? Even though we are talking about a revolutionary leader on the birthday of a revolutionary leader, why am I talking about a citizen, right? That's a question you might be having. Before even Netaji became a leader, as a citizen, he was a citizen before. As a young boy, he started voicing out a lot of his um, feelings and a lot of his ideas that he wanted the nation to be. His dreams, his ideas have become pathways for him to be the leader he has become. So even before we look at Netaji as a revolutionary leader, I would like to look at him as a simple young boy who had his love for his motherland, and as a simple citizen, he wanted to contribute for the betterment and the freedom of the nation. So let's talk about Netaji, right? As a young boy, he was born in a well-to-do family, an aristocrat family. His parents were educated, and his father was a lawyer by profession. So, what is it that inspired, given all the privilege that Netaji had, what is it that inspired him to get into the struggle? What is it that inspired him to move out of his comfort zone and fight for such a big dream against all odds? So, one of his most particularly important story from his childhood, when he was in fourth grade, he got to know about Khudiram Bose. I hope all of you know about Khudiram Bose, a young revolutionary who got hanged at the age of 18 because he was fighting for the freedom of the nation. So, as a young child, Netaji wanted to celebrate this sacrifice of another young boy. This sparked, this memory of him, this experience of him sparked him to move out of his comfort zone as a young child, move out of his comfort zone to fight for the nation. Netaji was also inspired by the ideals of Swami Vivekananda. His idea of a free motherland, a progressive motherland, is something that has always driven him in his journey. His life story is an example of hope, courage, and commitment. A journey of sacrifice who decided to go against all odds to dream of a free nation. So, along with him, he not only as a leader, as an independent leader, not only started his journey on his own, but also got a huge number of leaders in his team, which we are calling as Azad Hind Fauj or Indian National Army. Now, they envision for a country which is progressive, first free, and then progressive and highly educated and empowered. For a moment, let's think about this dream. Let's ask ourselves the big question, where are we now as a nation? Are we in the dream that Netaji envisioned for us? Where are we as a country? Are we living in that nation that all our revolutionary leaders like Netaji envisioned for the future? Keep this question in your mind, because this is very, very important as today's citizens to reflect on in the light of Netaji's journey, to reflect on this very important question. Here, I would like to invite Asra to talk more in detail about this.
Hello, everyone. So I am Asra, and I was born in Hyderabad not many years ago. And I was born into a poor family, like majority of our country people are. So majority of India lives very close to the poverty line. So I was similar to majority of the population that lived in this country. So I would like to share how I and the majority of this country have experienced India so far. So as you can see on the screen, around 80% of the young people in our country, they do not have employable skills, the skills that are needed to get a job. So if 80% of Indians in a young age are not having the skills for a job, then how are they going to get a job? That is why only 40% of our youth get a job, and they are able to support their family. They are able to afford one meal in a day, only 40%. The remaining 50% do not have that, right, do not have that dignity, do not have the voice in the mainstream. 50% of the young people. Our country is the most young country, they say. We have the largest population of youth in our country right now. And with so many youth, only 40% are getting a job. Only 80%, only 20% have the skills to get a job. And I was among the lucky 20% who had the job skills, who got a job, who could have a decent life, who could afford one meal, safe place to sleep at night. I was among the lucky 20%. But it is not just luck. It's not just luck that put me on the safer and better side of India. it was a lot of hard work that my parents did in order to get a place in this safe 50% of our country. And it was a lot of hard work, and I want to share a little bit about that, because it's not just my story, it's also a story of majority of the Indians in the country. So when I had to go to school, my parents had the option of putting me into a free government school. So we had access to get enrollment in a government school, free enrollment. But it was only enrollment, it was not education. It would not give me the skills to get a job and have a better life than my parents had. It was only enrollment. And as you can see, it is the same today with majority of the students like me who have the option to go to a government school, who can only afford a government school. It's free, but only 26% of the students in a fifth class of a government school are able to do simple division. In fifth class, we are supposed to expected to do division, multiplication a lot more in mathematics as well as in English. But only 26%, close to 30% are getting education. Remaining 70% are not getting an education. So my parents knew that I am not going to get education in a free government school. So they had to take loans and put me in a private school that will give me a decent education. So they took a lot of loans and put me in a private school. But repaying those loans had put a lot of stress on my parents' physical health. And to get treatment for basic physical health issues also was very expensive. So we had to take loans to take care of my parents' health as well. And yeah, this stress is what eventually started showing an effect on his health. And he passed away at the age of 55. He could not take more stress. This is the same with the majority of Indians. The story is the same even today. So according to the national crime records, around 4 lakh people in India have committed suicide because they could not get treatment to basic diseases. Between 2001 and 2015, close to 4 lakh people have committed suicide because they were tired of running around in government hospitals. You can see the rush in the government hospitals. You are aware of what happened during Corona. How many people were able to get a simple bed in a government hospital? We are all aware. And not everyone is able to take that stress and humiliation. 4 lakh people committed suicide because now they were not able to take that. My mother similarly could not take the stress because she chose to give us basic education. She chose to give us a basic life of dignity where I could afford 2 times of meal and a safe place to sleep. She chose to do that, and she had to pay a very heavy price for that. She passed away at the age of 53 due to mental illness. And the story is the same. Majority of our Indian population pay the same price to get basic education and health. The question that I am asking today is it fair? Is it fair that we make 80% of our people pay this price for their basic right to education and health and basic dignity? Is it fair to ask people to pay such a price for basics? That is the question I'm asking to our country today. to myself, to my fellow citizens who are all hearing me right now. This is where we have come as a country. This is what we want people to sacrifice if they demand for education or health or basic dignity. So I would like to invite our friend Abhijit to share more about the vision that Netaji had.
Thank you, Asra. And first of all, welcome everyone. We are not only celebrating Netaji and his work and his struggle for independence, but we are more than that. We are celebrating his values, what he stood for, what can we learn from his values, and what can we take away and apply it in today's context. As I think my friend Asra just told you, there are certain difficulties in the country, and those difficulties are affecting the people of the country. So the nation hasn't reached there yet. Yes, we have done a lot of good things in the nation, but the nation hasn't reached there yet, which the dream with our leaders have seen earlier. But today is about Netaji. Today is about the values the Netaji stood for. And I'm going to narrate three critical stories from his lifetime. And we can learn from these stories and see what we can take away from those stories. The first story of Netaji which really shocked and shook the friends, families, officers, and the people of this country, was his resignation from Indian civil service. Now, what was Indian civil service? Indian civil service was an administrative, a bureaucratic position where very, very few Indians were selected, and this was a powerful position which had a lot of administrative role. Now, why did Netaji resign from this position in 1921? There was twofold reasons for Netaji to leave this position. The first reason was Netaji did not want to work under a master who was somewhere oppressing his own people, brothers and sisters in his country. He did not want to become a servant of that master who was abusing his brothers and sisters and his countrymen and women. This was one reason. Netaji was also very deeply affected by Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and which happened in that timeline. And Netaji saw the brutality of British administration, British officers, and people who were serving under Britishers. A lot of people who pulled the trigger. Of course, the order was given by General Dyer, but a lot of people who pulled the trigger was Indians. And that hurt him a lot. And he understood that once I take up this service, my soul will become someone else. I will lose this soul as an Indian nationalist. And I might become like my masters. And one day I might have to pull trigger on my own people. And hence he left such a powerful position, which could have given him a comfortable life with a lot of power and lot of wealth. He rejected that and he came back to India and joined the Indian struggle and activism with Gandhiji in somewhere around 1921 to 24. He worked with Gandhiji. Now, what do we learn from this? What are we learning from this act of Subhash Chandra Bose? One thing which I can see is definitely a strong courage which comes out, which does not get compromised with conflicting values. And he knew that if he has to serve the motherland, he has to serve it wholly and fully. And for that, he could not take up the role. And that's the courage we should take, no matter what. If the stand has to be taken, and for that stand, if we have to leave positions of power, wealth, and pleasure and privileges. I think a true revolutionary like Netaji tells us to leave those and walk in the path of purpose. So this is a very significant story from his life, which when he was very young, he took that decision and he came back to India and joined Congress at that point of time under the leadership of Gandhiji. The second story, which is very interesting story, in the left side of the picture, you see it's a blurry picture because it's taken from an archive, very old, very few pictures which are available. And you will see somebody in the front row from the left-hand side second, and that's Netaji sitting there. And he's traveling from Germany to Japan and from to Singapore. And how did he reach there? That's a very fascinating story. So somewhere around 1921 to somewhere around 24, he was very actively participating in the national struggle, but under the leadership of Gandhiji in Congress. But on 1938, something interesting happened. On January 1938, there was an ideological difference among the Congress parties. Both came with a lot of radical ideas, and his demands were seen as radical and revolutionary demands. And there was a rift within the Congress party, and Bose had to resign the party in January. And somewhere around April 1938, Bose goes back to Calcutta and starts Forward Bloc, his own party with a similar mission and vision to liberate India from foreign powers. And he was demanding a complete liberation, complete freedom. But somewhere around December, because of his revolutionary act in Calcutta, he was asked to house arrest, and he was put in a house arrest, and his mobility, and he was not able to move. His mobility was compromised. It is then he decided that he needs to seek support from outside. He needs to get resources, people from outside, and he needs to go outside and seek support. After so many years, he had to restart again. And this time it was a difficult time because he has to travel from India to Russia and Germany. Now, that is something, a tremendous thing we are learning from him, that when the cause is there, he was not deciding how will I get so many people, will the others support me, and why will they support me? But he walks out with a lot of conviction and commitment and says that, no, I'm going to get people for my country to fight, and I'm going to bring them no matter what. He lands up in Germany. He also gets a chance to meet Hitler, but documents says that Hitler was not so impressed. Hitler was impressed from Bose, but Hitler was not so impressed with the idea that India should be free, Indians should be free. But one of the minister of Hitler was sympathetic for the cause of Bose, and he gave him a lot of support, and he also introduced him to the prisoners of war who were in Germany, and hence he started his formation of the army. Then they gave him a submarine to travel from Germany to Singapore, and from Singapore to later Japan. He went through ships. And after around 3-4 years of struggle, in somewhere around 1943, he formed the Indian National Army. The right side, the picture you are seeing, he is observing the army in parade. And that is where his dream to build the army came up to be true. Now, that's a very interesting story. Someone who left his ICS job and came to India to serve motherland gets conflicted within the political ideology, leaves the political ideology, starts a political party, but creates a lot of problem. British creates a lot of problem for him to work. So he goes back to a different country to get support. He manages to get support. He takes 2-3 years to gain the support. And finally, in 1943, he starts Indian National Army. Now, he showcases what kind of commitment and conviction is required if you truly want to serve your motherland. You do not have the privilege to give up neither on yourself or neither on others. Your entire role becomes to keep moving yourself and keep moving others. I think this story at this point of time, where we are struggling with as a country with many difficulties, I think gives us a lot of commitment, lot of conviction to move ahead, keep trying to seek support when it's required, but never leave the mission what we started it for. So this is the second story. I would like to go to the third story. He was known, I think, he was known as the leader who was beyond any identity. Now, today, if you look at the contemporary country, everyone is somewhere talking about certain kind of identity. But that point of time, when the country was in so much of difficulties, when this country was under foreign power, we had a leader who was beyond any identity. When I mean beyond any identity, I mean religious identity, I mean caste identity, I mean regional identity, I also mean gender identity. You can see in the picture, Lakshmiji is standing in the front, the right side of Bose, and you understand that Bose was not a leader who differentiated between any type of gender, caste, or religion. He had commanders under him and who were from various different regions and religions. Shahnawaz Khan, Gurbaksh Singh Dillon, Lakshmi Sehgal, these were his main commanders, and they come from different regions and religions. He also practiced religious freedom in his army. Anybody was free to practice their own religion and maintain their faith. He treated each and every individual like his comrades and not his subordinates. And that is a very important thing to see. He, unlike others, was looking at all of us, that point of time, the citizens of the country, the citizens of India, under only one banner, that we are the citizens of this country and we need to fight and liberate our country from foreign rules, and we all are together in this. This is something I think at this time we need to learn from him, since we are dealing with a lot of complex issues on the ground. We need to think beyond identity. We need to make sure everyone is inclusive when we are working towards a cause. We need to make sure there are men, there are women, there are others who comes in and gives their part of the energy and support to the movement. We need to make sure all religion take parts in the movement. So that was an incredible feat what Subhash Chandra Bose was able to capture or create this essence among their people. Even leaders like stalwart leaders like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Hazrat Mohini Urdu poet from Bengal, and some leaders from Jamaat Ulema wa Hind, Maulana Abzur Rahman Sharwani, talked very highly about Subhash Chandra Bose. That point of time, you can imagine when country was discussing about two-nation theory, when country was discussing about the Muslims of the country should have a different country and the Hindus of the country should have a different country, there emerged a leader where the other faith also have a similar trust and equal trust on him. And this is something we need to learn. As we are walking towards nation building process, each of us are doing our duty in each of our way. How do we become a leader who is beyond these identities? Now, these are few things which I think we should learn from Subhash Chandra Bose. And if you look back 3 stories from him, we can learn that we need courage, which will not move us from any kind of illusion of privilege, wealth, or power. We need that kind of courage to serve our motherland. We need conviction and commitment. No matter what is the condition, no matter where we are, how we are, we need to keep moving, keep seeking support, and keep moving ahead. We also need to be inclusive, and we need to be diverse in our thinking and practice. We need to take everyone together like what Netaji did, so that we together build this country from where it is. These are three stories of Subhash Chandra Bose. I hope we take few learnings from his values and we practice these values in our day-to-day life. I would like to invite Romila to continue from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit, for sharing the inspiring journey of Netaji. He is a beloved leader and an inspiration for all of us. And not only us, I hope that he becomes an inspiration to the youth, to the young generation, and the young-spirited nation here forward. So briefly, I want to share that discuss a little bit on the question I asked, right? Where are we as a country? This is a question that we need to think as a young nation, as a nation which is moving forward progressively, and as a nation which can become one of the most free, democratic, and an example nation for all the countries in the world. So here I would like to share about a few of our volunteers who have been working tirelessly on the ground, who are going into schools and shaping the minds of young children. So this is a journey which started as a personal journey for all three of us as a team, and now it has spread across like a wildfire in the state of Telangana. Currently, we are about 13,000 young volunteers who are saying that we will stand with the children who are vulnerable. We are in solidarity with all the children who wish and hope for a better future for themselves. So around 128,000 children are impacted by these 13,000 youth, and all of these children are studying in government schools. They come from underprivileged background. 350 championing professors across all the districts are also working with equal energy and spreading the mission and the vision of this idea across the state. It is this story of so many people that gives me and our team a lot of hope to move forward. That in spite of many things, we as a generation are not giving up. This is something that we are very proud of, and we would like to spread this hope with all of you, all the youth and all the citizens of the nation. So I would like to invite one of the young leader here who would like to share a small poem with all of us and share the essence of the message of today through a poem. So I invite Sai Datta to share his poem.
కదలిరండి కాంతి కొరకు కదలిరండి యువకులార కృషికులార నా దేశపు భవితలార కదం తొక్కి గలం పాడి మార్పును మొదలెట్టండి అద్భుతమౌ నాగరిక సామాజిక ఉచ్చులలో లోతుకు పడిపోకండి చేతకాకపోకండి మహాత్ములది మననేల మహోజ్వలిత మీనేల మహోన్నత మహాక్రమ పరాక్రమము మనదండి వానర మూకంతోనే వారధి నిర్మించిన మానవుడే మాధవుడని లోకానికి చాటిన మహాగణత మనదండి మచ్చుకైన నిలవండి కదలిరండి కదలిరండి కాంతి కొరకు కదలిరండి యువకులార కృషికులార నా దేశపు భవితలార పచ్చనోటు కాశపడ్డ పథకం తీసేయండి మత్తు నీళ్ల కాశపడ్డ మతిని తొలగించండి. మ్లేచ్చుల దుర్మార్గాలకు ఉత్తరమే స్వాతంత్ర్యం. ఉపయోగం చేయండి, ఉన్నతులై వెలగండి. కదలిరండి కదలిరండి, కాంతి కొరకు కదలిరండి. యువకులార కృషికులార, నా దేశపు భవితలార. దారిద్ర్యపు రేఖలన్నీ దహనం చేసేయండి. తెలుసుకోండి మీ శక్తిని, తెలుసుకోండి మీ యుక్తిని. తెలుసుకోండి రాజ్యాన్ని, తెలియని రాజ్యాంగాన్ని. కుడుం పట్టు పట్టండి, మార్పు తెచ్చి పెట్టండి. ఆలోచన చేయండి, ఆచరించి చూపండి. మానవతా దృక్పథంతో మనుషులుగా మారండి. కదలిరండి కదలిరండి, కాంతి కొరకు కదలిరండి. యువకులార కృషికులార, నా దేశపు భవితలార. కదలిరండి కదలిరండి, కాంతి కొరకు కదలిరండి. యువకులార కృషికులార, నా దేశపు భవితలార.
Thank you, Saidata, for sharing such a beautiful poem in Telugu. So the poem is a call for action for all of us who believe that there needs to be a nation where there needs to be justice, equality towards all the people. So his line, which says kadalirandi kadalirandi, all of you, it's a request to all of you, it's a call to all of you to come forward and take this nation ahead. It can be through small actions, it can be through big movements, but still the small step matters, right? It is not easy that this nation is built on the lives and sacrifices of so many people. It's not an easy journey. The poem shares the essence of this through many various examples of many people who built this nation. So on this note, I would like to dedicate a small song for all the volunteers who are working tirelessly and with the same spirit on ground, and to all the people who are with this idea and with this mission. I will be sharing the screen. Yeah.
ఎవరూకే కవిని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒక్కడవే పదవోయ్. ఎవరూకే కవిని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒక్కడవే పదవోయ్. అప్పుడు ఒక్కడవే 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 పదవోయ్. అప్పుడు ఒక్కడవే 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 పదవోయ్. ఎవరూకే కవిని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒక్కడవే పదవోయ్. మరు మాట లేకున్నా ఓరీవో భాగ్యుడా, మాట లేకున్నా మరి భయము చెంది జనమంతా పెడమొగమైన, మరి భయము చెంది జనమంతా పెడమొగమైన. నీ మనసు విప్పి నీవే మర్మమేదో తెల్లముగా ఒకడవే అనవోయ్. నీ మనసు విప్పి నీవే మర్మమేదో తెల్లముగా ఒకడవే అనవోయ్. ఎవరూకే కవిని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒకడవే పదవోయ్. ఎవరూకే కవిని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒకడవే పదవోయ్. ఏ తోడు లేకున్నా ఓరీవో భాగ్యుడా, తోడు లేకున్నా మరి అడవి దారిపోయే వేళ ఎవరు రాకున్నా, మరి అడవి దారిపోయే వేళ ఎవరు రాకున్నా. ముళ్ళ బాటలునా నీ అడుగుల రక్తము చిమ్మ ఒకడవే పదవోయ్. ముళ్ళ బాటలునా నీ అడుగుల రక్తము చిమ్మ ఒకడవే పదవో ఎవరు కేక విని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒకడవే పదవోయ్ అప్పుడు ఒక్కడవే 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 ఒకడవే పదవోయ్ అప్పుడు ఒక్కడవే 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 ఒకడవే పదవోయ్ ఎవరు కేక విని రాకపోయినా సరే ఒక్కడవే పదవోయ్ ఒకడవే పదవోయ్ ఒకడవే పదవోయ్.
So this is the song that is very close to us, and which says that in spite of all the difficulties, please move ahead. Even if you're alone, if you called out for everyone, and if nobody has joined you, in spite of that, just go alone. If it's you who have to put that one step forward and become the leader and make that pathway, then start it alone. So that's the message this song gives us, and I'm very happy that on this wonderful day of Netaji's birthday, we are celebrating and sharing the spirit with all of you. And thank you for joining on a late evening. Good evening. Jai Hind.